Canyon on the east. Let's go. Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, then a very big hello. My name is Louise and it's been a little while. I did upload a vlog a few days ago, so make sure you go and check that out if you are wondering where have I been. Like, it's kind of like I haven't uploaded since early December, but I have uploaded a vlog and I thought this was a really nice little comeback video. So I have been off ill. If you haven't watched the vlog, I got pneumonia. Start of January 2025 hasn't been the best for me, but we are going to turn things around, guys, and 2025 is going to be the best year. Yeah, I just have this feeling. Now, I watched a friend of mine do a video and I was inspired by it. I was influenced by it. A big shout out to Shannon. I will leave her YouTube video and the video that she done that I am taking down below, so make sure you go give her a like, subscribe. She is cabin crew. She travels around doing cabin crew, so she has a lot of travel content. She uploads monthly roster reveals. About 2 days ago I watched her Hello 2025 video and I thought this is just such a good way to come back and say hello to all you guys again. And I do a very similar video which I upload in September, October every year, and it's asking myself questions a year later. But this one's kind of different because this one's like a look back on the year, as that one's kind of like, do you have any pets? What are you working as? What are you doing right now? Where have you traveled to? As this one's a very much reflect of the year. Doing one of these every year will be really nice. So basically what it is I'm going to ask myself questions to answer next year. Now obviously I haven't done a video last year, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask myself questions that I need to answer next year, and I will answer the same questions this year. And then when we come round to next year, I will answer the questions I gave this year and then ask new questions the year after, and so on. It sounds very confusing, but once I've explained it and answered some of the questions, you guys will probably understand what I'm talking about. Welcome, hello 2025, and hello future self. Looking back at this in a year's time, you have had a very tough beginning of January, but I'm about to ask you some questions. I'm going to do very similar questions to Shannon because I absolutely love the questions and I feel like they're great reflect back on the year. And the first question I am going to answer this year, and I'm going to put it forward to next year, is what were your highlights of 2024? So what was your highlights of 2025 when you are asking this next year? And while I ask this question, I'm going to ask my present self this question of 2024. So what was my highlights this year? Now I have got so many. I feel really blessed, but what I will say is that this has been one of the best years of my life, and this has also been the worst year of my life. If you know me outside of social media and you know me personally, you know I am the most positive person in the whole entire world. I get told that nearly on a daily basis at this point, that I always look at the positive side of life or with everything. And every month and every year I always say it's the best month of my life or it's the best year of my life, and that's how I always start, like, normally my Instagram post. But what I will say is there was one month this year just gone in 2024 where I actually said it wasn't the best month, and it was just horrendous month for me, and I think that's kind of why this year hasn't been the best year. And we will go on to talk about it in this video because I love being really honest and transparent with you guys. But as well, I want to say that, like, I am normally the most positive person. I find a high in everything, but this year kind of got me in a point where there were some not so good months. But yeah, let's talk about the highs of 2024. So I actually need to go on my phone and look back on my Instagram because that is where I post most things. If you're not following me, go follow me. Louise Ware-94 on Instagram, Louise Ware-Armstrong on TikTok, because I post there all the time. January highs for 2024 was we went to a brand new state that we'd never been to before. We went to Michigan and Indiana. Actually, we drove through Indiana to get to Michigan and went to Chicago. So we went to a brand new location, Jake and I, straight after the new year. We went to the Home Alone house. That was a massive high for January. I also went to the Tim Hortons anniversary event too. They were celebrating I want to say 60 years. Don't hate me for that if it's not right, but I think it was 60 years. I actually got to take my brother with it, which was really cool. My brother's a chef and I thought he would appreciate going to like a Tim Hortons event, and it was a roller disco, and I also got my hair chopped off. Now, I have had long hair my whole entire life. I go like 4 or 5 years without going to a hairdresser because I was petrified of them cutting it too short, and my hair was like at my waistline. And I finally took the guts of chopping my hair off, and that was just such a positive thing for me because this is like my secure blanket, and I loved how it looked afterwards. So I had 3 massive highs in January: traveling through Indiana and Michigan to get to Chicago, going to the Tim's event, and also getting my hair chopped off. So January was like a big high. February, I went home to England and I seen my family, I seen my best friends, and I got asked to be a bridesmaid. So February was definitely a super high point. I had the best February. I had a sleepover with my niece at her house. We wore matching pajamas. I went to see my best friend's a little boy that was born a few years ago that I never managed to meet. Like, I didn't go home for 2 years, so I never got to meet him, and I finally met him. And yeah, February brought a lot of highs for me. March, not a lot happened. I kind of stayed home a lot of the time and tried to save as much as I could, so I don't have a memorable thing in March. April came with a lot of brand deals. I got to work with some amazing companies: Baskin Robbins, Tim Hortons, Genza, Best Way. Shout out to all you brand deals. So for my career, it was like a massive high for me. There was the eclipse here in Ontario and I got to go watch it with Tim Hortons, which was really cool. So April was a very much career high for me. May was the start of our camping season, so we went to 2 campsites. We went to Bronte Creek and Turkey Point. I also performed in my last ever dance show, which I think it will be my last ever dance show. I got asked to perform in a show. At first I was going to say no because I'm physically not fit enough to dance anymore. If you did not know, I used to be a professional dancer when I was younger. I've traveled around and worked for lots of different companies, and I traveled around dancing as my career before I moved to Canada, and I just happened to be asked to be in a number because someone got injured, and then I ended up being in a recital, which is just wild because it was my niece's very first dance recital in May and it was my very last dance recital in May, so it was like passing over the dance shoes, which was really nice. But I also got to go to Bronte Creek, Turkey Point, and also a massive high in May as I got my graduation pictures done. It wasn't done professionally. I borrowed someone that I worked with graduation gown over here in Canada. They graduate after every school year, after every college, university, so everyone has like graduation gowns, as in England it's just after university. But basically I never graduated. So I got my degree, I finished my 3 years, I went to Roehampton University, I studied dance studies where I did my dissertation of dancing with disabilities, and I was really proud. I am dyslexic. I find it very hard to read and write, and I actually completed it. And out of my 2 brothers, I was the only one that went to university and I was the only one that graduated. Now, they've done amazing things too. They have amazing careers. My brother's a chef, my other brother was Navy, so they didn't need to go to university, but I chose that career path, and I just was really proud of myself. Like, I was the only one in my family who went to university. I was the only one that's graduated, but I got a contract as soon as I finished university, and I flew out as soon as my course finished. I think I flew out the end of May, beginning of June, and our graduation was in July, and I never had my graduation pictures done, and I wasn't there to get the gown, and I wasn't there to throw the hat in the air. So it's always been a massive bucket list thing for me to tick off, is just to get a picture in a ground with a hat on so I can frame it one day and be proud of myself. So I did that. I didn't get them done professionally. I borrowed the gown. I took the pictures in the back garden because it was lovely weather outside and the lighting was great. So I finally got that done. So going camping in our trailer, getting our graduation pictures, and my last dance recital was May. So I had a lot going on in May too. June, I June, massive highs for me is spending near enough every single day off on the lake. I love lake life, and since moving to Canada, it's been a big part of my personality. Literally, as soon as the sun is out, I'm in the lake, and I spend up to 4, 5, 6 hours out on my paddleboard. And in June, I spent a lot of days out on my paddleboard by myself. This year, I kind of told myself to kind of hold back a little bit more in the space of, I'm someone who wants to please everyone. I'm such a pleaser. I want everyone to be happy. So if someone invites me to something, I always say like, oh, let's invite this person too. And it would turn out to be, I was supposed to be just going out of one person, because I've invited 5 other people, it turns into like a big group outing, which is great. I love that. I never want anyone to feel left out. But then I also find myself the first person to message to do something. So I always message people saying, hey, do you want to go for food? Do you want to meet up? Do you want to go bowling? Do you want to go to the lake? Do you want to go for coffee? And like, I find myself, I'm messaging half the time. So I told myself in 2024 to kind of hold back a bit and see what people reach out with you. And it's not because I want to try and find out who my true friends are. It's just because I put a lot of energy into friendship. Not upset, but like, I kind of feel like if I'm not invited to something, I kind of think, why am I not invited? Because I'm such a people person. And also, if someone invites me to something and I know someone else in the area is off or something, I'll be like, let's invite this person too. Which meant I spent a lot of this year, especially this summer, by myself. Like, obviously we all have our own lives, everyone works and stuff, but like enjoyed my own company a little bit more. And I think stopped messaging people, and then I didn't manage to have like a lot of day trips with people or do stuff with people. It in fact made me fall in love with my own company a little bit more, which was something that I kind of didn't have. I always had to be with someone. Like, I always had to be with Jake, or if I had a day off, I would text someone to go and do something. And because I stopped that texting and not many people reached out to me, which is okay, like everyone's got their own lives, it made me spend time on myself. Like, never did I think 2 years, if you'd asked me 2 years ago that you would go to the beach or the lake by yourself, go on your paddleboard, pump your paddleboard up in front of loads of people you don't know by yourself, and go out on the lake by yourself and leave your stuff on the sand, like, I would be like, no way. There's like too much in that petrifies me, like people looking at me, and like there's just so much in that. And then last year I did it near enough every single day off, and I fell in love with my own company. I found what hobbies that I personally like doing. I wasn't trying to please other people, and I found like a great peace in my own company. So I feel like that's a massive high for June, that I went out paddleboarding by myself. I found my hobbies, I spent a lot of time by myself, and I absolutely love that. I also went to a Burger King event, which I got to take Jake to, and then I also found out one of my best friends was pregnant again, so that was like a huge high. July, I'm gonna try and not cry on this one. 2024 made me emotional. I've always been quite emotional, but it's made me more emotional, and Jake would be like, how is that even possible? You're so emotional anyway. But July was a hard one. I don't necessarily have as many highs. July, we found out some bad news with our family. I'm going to talk about it very quickly so I don't cry. So I spent a lot of time with Jake. Jake is like my support blanket. He is the best support blanket ever. He tries to keep your mind off things. He's great. Trying to find highs in July was hard. So I'm going to brief over this as quick as I possibly can. But me and Jake did go to our very first American State Grand camp. We went to Letchworth State Park, which is America's #1 campground. We went there for July 4th. We've always wanted on our bucket list to celebrate July 4th in America, and we finally did it, so that's a huge tick for us. But July did come with, unfortunately, some not so great news. And positive in that bad scenario is that August turned out to be better than it was ever supposed to be, because I had to fly home because of this emergency that came up. I was only ever supposed to go home in February last year, but I ended up going home in August too because of the news we got in July. So turning that negative into a positive is it brought in August that I got to go home for my 30th birthday. I actually went camping for my 30th with like my close friends, my brother and my sister-in-law. And then on August the 3rd, the day after my birthday, I flew home and I got to spend my 30th with my family. The highs in August was my 30th birthday. I can't believe I turned 30, and going home to England to get to celebrate it with my family too, and be with the people I love during a very hard time. September was The best month of my whole, September 2024 was the best month of my whole entire life. Honestly. So me and Jake, early 2024, booked a trip for me, him, his mum and my mum. And when we went home in February, we got to surprise our families with that. And September was the month that it all happened. So me and Jake took both our mums to Disney World, Florida. You guys are probably so fed up of hearing about it, but it was just the best thing of the entire world. Disney World is my favorite place, it's Jake's favorite place, and like being in that magical bubble is the best thing in the whole entire world. And the fact that we got to take both of our mums was the best thing. We did it because it was my 30th and it's Jake's birthday in September too, so it was kind of like a birthday treat to each other to bring our mums. We paid for the Disney dine-ins, they didn't have to pay any money on food, we paid for the hotel, and it was like a huge moment in our lives. Like, you know, your mums like bring you up and they spend all their money on you growing up, and I was just like so nice to pay that back and be like, I'm taking you on holiday for a week to Florida. Like, my mum's never been to Florida, she's never been to Disney World, and it was just like a huge high. October, we booked a last minute trip to Salem, so we ticked off some new states. We went to Massachusetts, which I find extremely hard to say. We went to Salem, huge bucket list moment being in Salem for Halloween. That's where Hocus Pocus was filmed. It's all about the witch trials, so the history as well as like Disney nerd in me loved both of those, and it was the best trip. It was so cool. I did vlog it, so I'll leave that link down below. And I had a huge brand deal as well in October, so that was a massive high. November, we were still in Salem for the beginning of November, and then we went to a Tim Hortons event, so that's another career high for us. And then December, we went back to New York City and relived our 2017 first holiday together. So me and Jake got together in September 2017. We are both travel bug people, and I think that's what made us bond in the first place, is that we're so similar. And when we went to New York in 2017, we had the best time. And since then we have been back, but we've been back with like my brother and sister-in-law. We've been back with his mum and his cousin. Like, we've never been back just us two. So we went back and we had the best time. We only went for a few days, over days off, and we drove down and it was amazing. So a massive high. So we had some great highs there. We went to Disney World, Florida, went to Salem, Massachusetts, went to Chicago, went home twice. So I had 5 amazing trips. I had lots of great brand deals. I signed, last year was the most money that I ever made on social media. So that's a massive thanks to you guys. I actually tripled what I made the year before. So that is all my highs. That was a long answer to that question. So that is what I mean by saying I had the best year of my whole entire life, but it also came with, unfortunately, some of the worst news of my whole entire life. 2024 was a good year. We did some amazing stuff. So moving on to the next question. Okay, so my next question is, did you do what you wanted to do in 2025? And now I'm kind of saying it in that sort of way than rather, did you hit your goals? Because you guys that watch me for a long time, every year, you know I don't set hard goals. I don't write out goals. I don't say you need to do this, because I'm someone that if I don't achieve that goal, then I'm kind of gutted with myself, and life happens. You can kind of say, I want to do this, and this, but until it comes to it, something might come up, or you might not financially be able to do it. Or I just think goal setting is such a seesaw. Some people love doing it, some people hate doing it, and I'm kind of in the middle. What I like doing is set a bucket list, and it doesn't mean that I necessarily have to do it that next year, but throughout my years I would love to achieve it. Like last year we ticked off going to Salem for Christmas. Now that's been on my bucket list for about 5-6 years, and we finally got to do it. It wasn't something that I was like, next year we have to go to Salem. So the question I have is, some of your bucket list items, were they ticked off? Now I'm going to say some of the bucket list items on this channel now, so that I can look back and see if I've ticked any of it off in my next video when I answer these questions. But a few of them being is, I would love to go back to Disneyland Paris at some point in my lifetime. Disneyland Paris has quite a large hole in my heart because I danced there when I was a lot younger. I always remember being in the parade and my grandma being there with one of those like camcorders and filming it. She actually still has the videos at home. So did you manage to go back to Disneyland Paris? If not, that's still on your bucket list and that's okay. But I would love to go back to Disneyland Paris at some point. In saying about the camcorder too, I do have a trip to England booked and I would love to get all of my grandma's video recordings that she had done while I was younger, and when all of my cousins and brothers were younger. We filmed absolutely everything. She was kind of like an OG vlogger in that way, where she always had the camcorder out, and we have it on these cassette videos, which unfortunately don't have anything to play them on anymore. So I want to get them changed over to DVD. So that's a big bucket list thing for me too, is to get all of the video cassette things done onto a DVD. So I would like to know if you ever managed to get that done or you've started to get it done. Some more bucket list things are going to another province in Canada. We obviously live in Ontario and I visited Kelowna back in like 2022, I want to say 2023, no, 2022. Apart from Kelowna, BC, we have never ever been out of our province in Canada. Calgary is definitely up there. Going to Vancouver, BC is up there. Nova Scotia is up there. And I would love to know if you actually get to tick off another province. We always seem to hesitate more to the States. And a few people ask me why. And one of the biggest things is because if you drive 6 hours in the States, you can pass 3-4 states and tick off 3-4 states in a row. If I drive 6 hours on Ontario, I am still in Ontario. So unless you're kind of flying or you have a lot of time off, you can't really get to another province, and we tend to drive a lot more because we have a trailer. We have visited quite a lot of Ontario because of our trailer, but like I said, that's with us driving 6 hours north. If I drive 6 hours south, I've literally gone past New York State, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, Indiana, Michigan. Like there's so many states within 6 hours that you can tick off, as if you drive 6 hours in Ontario, you're still in Ontario. So that's kind of why we do the states more. But I would love to know at the end of 2025, did you manage to tick off another province? And if you did, which province did you end up choosing first? Because Calgary is at the top of my list right now, but to go visit, but I wonder if you tick that off first before anywhere else. And then just few career questions. Did you hit 100k on TikTok? Is TikTok banned in America? Now this is a huge taboo right now because in approximately a few days TikTok is supposed to be banned in America. And if you did not know, I am on the creator program. Most of my income for social media, which isn't a lot, I do this as a hobby and anything extra just goes on trips. I only get paid if American viewers watch and the UK viewers watch. I don't get paid if Canadian viewers watch because Canadians don't have the TikTok creator program. So if America dies out and deletes TikTok, I only get paid from the UK viewers, which I still really appreciate any sort of income from social media. Like I said, it goes 100% back into booking trips. When I get paid from TikTok, me and Jake sit down and look at where we can book to vlog and create more content. But I would love to know if TikTok in America did cancel and what that looks like. Does that mean that you didn't hit your 100k goal? I am someone who grows quite slowly, but I'm okay with that because every single viewer means a lot. But I do have that 100k goal in my head for one day to hit on TikTok, and I would love to know what that looks like in a year's time. We may not even be using TikTok anymore at this point. Like, what's the app that everyone's using? I would love to know. But that's like a little bucket list to see 100k there. I can't wait to print that out one day when I hit it. I'm manifesting it and stick it on my wall to say that I did it, because that's a lot of people, guys. And thank you so much for always following me. So that's like a little career goal. And apart from that, I have got a lot of stuff on my bucket list, but that's just a few things to name. Obviously a big bucket list thing is going to Hong Kong, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Tokyo and Shanghai Disney. Like, that is massive. Jake has sabbatical coming up in a few years when he has to take like 3 weeks off work because he's been with the company for a long time, and hopefully by then I can take that much time off work too if I've saved up enough and we do all 3. That's not going to be a 2025 thing, but I'm just putting that into the universe. That's a huge bucket list thing. So have you looked into some of that information, and are you starting to book some of that? But yeah, that's another question. So did you tick off some of your bucket lists that you have for 2025? I would love to know. My next question is quite a random one, and I'm only saying it because of the weather today. But what is the weather like today whilst you're filming this? Because today it started snowing at 7 a.m. in the morning, and it's not stopping snowing till 8 p.m. at night. And currently outside we have got about 5 centimeters of snow, and it's only gonna get higher because it is only 3 o'clock and the snow's already high. So I'd love to know what the weather's like. We haven't had a horrendous winter here in Ontario. Today's actually the first proper snow day that we have had of the whole season. It has been freezing. It's been like -15 yesterday, but today is the first day that we see proper snow. So I'd love to know what the weather is like. And the fourth and final question that I want to ask my future self in the end of 2025 is, how are you doing? I want to know how you are mentally, physically, how are you? And I'm going to answer this question now too, because I have had a very whirlwind January. If you guys watched my vlog the other day, then you will know that I had suffered my first anxiety panic attack. Don't really know what else to call it at this point. I did get pneumonia at the beginning of the year, which meant that my physical health wasn't great, which then put me on antibiotics that made my mental health not great. But we are 4 days out of being sick, and I am back to myself finally. I haven't, knock on wood, hadn't had any more panic attacks, haven't had any more anxiety attacks. I still have a little cough from my pneumonia, but I haven't got anything else. I'm back eating. I have my appetite back. I didn't eat for like nearly 2.5 weeks, but I finally have my appetite back, which for me, I'm such a foodie. I love that. I take my ginger and turmeric shots every morning. I'd love to know if you're still taking your ginger and turmeric shots. And just physically and mentally at the beginning of January, it was a very tough one for me. I cried a lot of tears. Jake was like the best person for me in the moment. Like, he is my 100% support blanket. He took time off work to look after me. But as of today, I am back. I am feeling 100% myself. I've done a clear out. Things that make me happy is what I'm doing more of. I'm watching a lot of Disney vlogs. Things that make me happy, I'm doing more of. So as of right now, I am back to myself. If you would have asked me this question a week ago, I would tell you I was in probably the darkest space that I've been in ever in my life. I've never had a panic attack, so I didn't know really what that looked like for about 2.5, 3 weeks. But now January 16th is here. Louise is back, and physically I'm very well, like 10 out of 10, 10 stars ever. I'm so happy right now. I've got a lot of trips coming up, which you guys have. The next vlog is my trip reveal for 2025. I tried not to give it away in this video by saying like, what's your future plans and stuff. I tried not to say them because I want to save it for that video. But I have booked all my trips for next year, and there's some really exciting ones. So physically, mentally, I am great. Relationship wise, me and Jake are better than ever. Me and Jake's relationship has always been 10 out of 10, 10 stars. Still loving Ontario, so I'm happy in the home sense of it. I love my job. I've worked for the same company for a year now. Don't see myself ever leaving that place, to be honest, because I love the life ethic I have over there. I love my manager, I love the company, I love the brand, and it's very hard to find something that you love in all those criterias. If you'd asked me last week, it would have been very different. It would have been a lot of tears, but yeah, we're there. So that's going to be the end of the video. I will come back at the end of next year or the beginning of 2026 to answer those 4 questions again. First question being, what did your 2025 look like? What were your highs? Number 2 is, did you tick any of your bucket list moments off? Did you go to Disneyland Paris? Have you saved for Tokyo Disney? Have you hit 100k on TikTok? Is 100k, is TikTok even still here? I can't remember the other one. I'll have to watch back next year. Number 3, what is the weather like right now as you are filming? And number 4, how are you physically, mentally? Are you ready for 2026? So they are my 4 questions. Let me know in the comments how your 2024 was. I hope you guys had a great 2024. And yes, I'm gonna go now to cook a lasagna. Not cook, it's a frozen one that I'm just putting in the oven. Someone is snow blowing. You snow blow in my house, because otherwise I'm gonna have to go out and do it and I don't want to get ill again. I need to buy a snow blower. Did you buy a snow blower next year? Let's ask ourselves that question at this point. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me as ever. And again, thank you for Shannon for this idea. I will link her page and the video down below, so go check it out. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which is my trips of 2025. Bye!